My name is Oscar Helsen. I work as an energy manager at local water authority Delftland. And here on the back we see the wastewater treatment plant Houtrus. And this wastewater treatment plant was founded in 1967, so quite old. And we modernized it during the years. This is not the only one we have as the local water authority. We also have one in Vlaardingen, that is a wastewater treatment plant, de Grote Lucht. Yes. Also one in Hoek van Holland, Nieuwe Waterweg. And then we have, of course, the wastewater treatment plant Houtrust. And we have another one, but the wastewater treatment plant Houtrust was really a big wastewater treatment plant and cleaned the water from the whole The Hague region. But the population kept on growing, and we had the wastewater treatment plant wasn't fed up to all this wastewater, so we had to build a new one. And we built, we built the AIWWT Harnespolder, really a big wastewater treatment plant. And we renovated the wastewater treatment plant Houtrust. We made it actually a little bit smaller. The transition in the field of wastewater, you can see if you're wandering through the corridors of the wastewater, of the treatment plant Houtrust, you see these changes. First, of course, it was because of public health, and we cleaned the water with organic substances. And then it was more about protecting the environment. We cleaned also some phosphor and nitrogen from the wastewater. And during the 90s, the focus got more into energy reduction. So we built digestion tanks, and we produced biogas. And nowadays, we hear a lot about reducing green gas emissions. So this is a next challenge for us, for how can we reduce these greenhouse emissions, because we know there are a lot of greenhouse emissions from wastewater treatment plants. Making green gas, is it actually, is it sustainable? Here we have two examples, like before and after. This is before. We use combined heat and power plants to fed with the biogas, and then we make electricity and heat. And we have more than enough heat, so we get rid of it, but we make our own electricity. But what we also can do is not use this biomethane, but make it feasible for the gas network, and then use it in the gas grid. So not use it for ourselves. How did we start? First, the wastewater treatment plant, de Grote Lucht. We had to replace the combined heat and power plants. When we thought about it, we thought, well, maybe we can make natural gas instead of biogas. And we use green energy, green electricity, so we don't produce it ourselves. And And we used natural gas for heating, and we sold the green gas. And it was a very good business case for us, so we started to build the same installation, also a green gas installation in 2009. And let's see, yeah. How does it work, this green gas installation? Well, first you have to do a pre-treatment of the biogas. You have to dehumidify it. You have to get rid of all the liquid. And the next step is the activated carbon filters to get rid of the hydrogen sulfide. Then you have to compress it, and you have to push it through the membranes, and then you can separate the carbon dioxide and the methane. So you get this 80% methane gas. And you have to put some odor to it, THT, because that's recommended. And then you can put it into the gas grid, and you can use it for all purposes. For instance, driving cars, but also cooking and heating households. And we see here on the beneath, we see also there is a lot of heat coming from this installation, and also you have some carbon dioxide in a very clean way of carbon dioxide, and you have to do just a small step to make it more clean, and then you can use it in, for instance, greenhouses. And that's what we did. So the past situation, we had this combined heat and power plants, of course, very useful, but yeah, just a part of the heat you can use. You have a lot of it. An advantage is that you are more self-sufficient. But also, you burn, you combust this biomethane, and then you have a lot of carbon dioxide. There's also some methane coming from it, and other harmful substances like carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and you can only use it half the time. So, yeah, we thought of thinking of a wastewater treatment plant house rust, and we did three things. First, the biogas purification to green gas. Then to liquefy the CO2, so we can reuse the CO2 instead of pushing it into the air. And last, we changed the heating of the digestion tanks. Now I show you some pictures of the whole process. Here we see the biogas upgrading system with the membranes. This is the carbon dioxide liquefaction installation. Of course, you have a CO2 tank, and so you can distribute it. Then we have a heat pump. And why do we need a heat pump? We have still to heat the digestion tanks. And during the project, we made some small changes. We changed the, because it first was a very big wastewater treatment plant, we had two tanks, two digestion tanks, and we only used one. But instead of using one, we start to use two digestion tanks, and we put them in series. and we operate them at lower temperature, and that way we can use a smaller heat pump. And because of lower temperature and longer digestion time, we saved up to 800,000 kilowatt hours per year. So in the end, if we look at the whole picture, we produce 50% less carbon dioxide. We produce about 1.9 million cubic meters of natural gas, biogas. And we also produce 2,000 tons of liquid carbon dioxide, which we can use in the greenhouses for growing plants. So it's also a good business case. So we can make, the business case is about an investment of 3.3 million euros, and we think about 6 years we can get the money back by selling the green gas. So thank you for your attention, and do you have any questions?
Thank you for your interesting presentation. Well, it's good to see that increasing the energy efficiency of an installation also results into a 50% reduction of the carbon dioxide footprint.
Yeah.
At least that's what I understood from your presentation. Any questions from the audience, please? Well, many.
Thank you, Oscar, for your interesting presentation. I was wondering about the energy balance of the whole project. You produce natural gas, you produce liquid CO2, but you also have to use a lot of heat. You use pressure. You have separation of the gases. So how many energy do you put in, and how much energy was gained by producing natural gas?
Well, it's about the same as before as after. So we looked at it, and there is not a difference in energy. Because it's true, you use more electricity, but you also produce a lot of green gas or natural gas. So if you balance it out, it's more or less the same. But it's about the greenhouse gases. You don't combust any gases, so you don't.
The climate footprint is obvious, but I was wondering about the energy balance.
Cool. That's more or less the same.
I saw another question, Jan-Peter.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Well, I think very nice approach, producing natural gas. But did you also look into the long-term perspective? We are abandoning the use of natural gas. So is there still a market in 20 years? Or can it be used in another way, in the industry or whatever?
Yeah, of course you have to develop every time. We are now in a period where there is still a lot of natural gas usage in the Netherlands. But of course, we have to reduce this natural gases. And for instance, I think in the industries, there is almost not an alternative for some processes. So you always need some natural gas, and let it then be green natural gas. But we also see, if we look at all the wastewater treatment plants in the Netherlands, it's still a small amount of gas we produce. So if you look at our consumption of natural gas, it's really quite big in the Netherlands. So we only produce, I think, 2% of the whole usage of natural gas.
I saw a question over there as well. Yes, please.
Thanks, Oscar, for the interesting presentation. You were talking about a CO2 recovery, and this might be possible to transport this to greenhouses. But will this be feasible, or do you think of something else to do with it?
Well, this is because of the quality aspects of our carbon dioxide. We only have this customer like the greenhouses because they don't have this much demands for the quality. But of course, we want to sell it to other parties. For instance, the drinking water industry also uses carbon dioxide. And this would be a really interesting case to sell it to the drinking water companies. But then we have to look at the kiwa, if they match up the quality standards of the drinking water industry. But you can also think at beverage, they also use carbon dioxide. Or
Presently, it's already used at the greenhouses?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
answers your questions?
Okay, yeah, they already use carbon dioxide from the industry. But now they do. Yeah, we sell it to
That's
them.
what I understood also from the abstract. Yeah, okay. Just to clarify. Any other questions?